Well, hello, I'm Chris, and this video is going to be about going over kind of what you need to know if you're going in this direction with the big block in a chevelle or it's a big block in general. I'm going to go over all the pulleys, everything in depth, because I had a real hard time trying to figure this out because information just is hard to find on the internet. I'm going to go over the motor mounts. I'm going to go over just a lot of things that you need to know about the brackets and pulleys, where to get them, how much they cost, stuff like that. The motor mounts are the polyurethane energy suspension. It's like this. The set was like over $100, but it comes with the two motor mounts like that and the transmission mount. It's real nice. They all look fancy. The only thing, if you buy these, I had to put two flat machine washers on every bolt, on the 6 bolts for the engine, because it would not clear the main engine bolt. So I don't know, just be aware of that. Other than that, it's in there. I like it. Looks fancy. See the difference when you paint the freaking intake? It gives it a correct look, but it's a freaking badass intake. So just something to take into consideration when you're building one of these. That's a 750 Carter. It's not fuel injected. I just put that sticker on there to piss people off. That's not the air cleaner that's going on it. All the haters out there that want to critique everything they possibly can. It's just to keep dust out of it. None of this is just mocked up for right now. You always want to do that. Make damn sure your intake fits, because people mill down intakes and mill heads and do all kinds of shit to engines. And, you know, unless you buy all this stuff brand new. See the difference it makes when you take the time and sandblast every freaking bolt on there and put all that stuff on there. That intake looks freaking clean like that. Like for example, this fan, it's not correct. The normal one has a different pattern here and it's squared off, real squared, but it is 17.5-inch diameter. You're not going to be able to see this anyway, but you can, whenever it comes to stuff like that, if I ever at the swap meet I find the right fan, this would be really easy to change out. But for right now, you know, when you're buying the whole damn thing and you're not rich, you got to save money where you can. So this is just one I got for $45, but I think it's off of a truck. But it's all sandblasted and painted, so it looks fancy. And the new one was like $80 and just didn't have the money for it. I didn't want to buy it. Too much money. Okay. So there's a fan. I sandblasted it and painted it satin black. New fan clutch. Not correct, but it looks good enough. It looks fine for me. I don't know if these are correct, but that's all I use is 5/16, about an inch long fine thread into the water pump. Now the fan clutch has a bushing right there, so we're gonna loosen this up. Alright, now this is if you just look up 70 chevelle 454, this is the fan belt. Real simple stuff. Alright, these belts on this car, if you, they're just typed, I just went to O'Reilly and the 3 belts that came up for 454 70 chevelle, that's the belts I bought and they fit perfect. So alright, we're going to go over this water pump pulley. See, I've done all the research on making this stuff look as correct as possible. It's not 100% correct. Show you what I did here. This is a long water pump car. The correct pulley for the big block is a single groove, and it's gonna have these little lines on there on the edge like that, but it's $93, and I was like, man, I ain't spending $93 on a freaking pulley. So basically all the small block and big block cars, they all use the same style, but they have 2 pulleys, and you can put this on there, but it's just not correct if you're building like a 70 and you want it to look correct. But you can separate these pulleys by drilling out those 4 things right there, and they'll actually come apart. You can take that small pulley off, or you can do like I did. I just carefully took a sawzall and just cut that back pulley out, that little gap, and then kind of ground it down where it was perfect. Sandblasted and painted black. Because see, the problem is these are two pulleys in there that are pressed together, and if you take this one out, it's going to be like a 32nd of an inch in. So just something to think about. I just cut mine, just showing you that you don't have to buy a $93 pulley, but the difference will be that the real one was going to have an edge like that on it. So the big block alternator upper brackets, they're going to have three types. They're going to have one with these holes all over it, a circle, and then the aftermarkets don't have anything on them. They're smooth. I don't know which one's correct, but it seems like I've seen that one on cars. This obviously looks like from a truck, 80s truck or some shit, but yeah, message me if you need one. These are $44 if you don't have it. Oh shit, that's not even the right one. This is a small block bracket. Well, I have another one somewhere anyway. The lower bracket you can buy anywhere. It's just a big block lower alternator bracket, and they're $15. You can actually buy this at Pet Boys. This is the original one that I had. So don't be scared of the lower bracket. The upper one can cost you up to $44. I'll go ahead and take it off for you so you kind of get a better understanding about it. Try to talk to you a little bit about what I know. This alternator is internally regulated off of a 79 Monte Carlo with a 305. I do a video on showing you how to change the wiring harness over, and I will be doing videos in the future about wiring it up. So all this, I'm just mocking it up, and I thought I'd share it with people because you get pretty confusing, man. Alright, so this is a long alternator bolt for the lower. It goes into the head, 6 inches. Okay, so this is 6 inch, 3/8. Goes here, threads into the head. All I'm using is 3/8. About an inch, 3/8 with a lock washer for this lower bracket. This is a long water pump, so it's gonna go in on the water pump. Another 1 inch, 3/8. Alright, so here we are to the biggest headache of all. Now I rescued this power steering pump. It was laying on the ground. You can see the pitted pulley. But I had to save this pulley because it's $44 if you don't have it. Power steering pump itself is $35, but I have a video where I rebuilt this one. Thoroughly rebuilt it, and so be aware that if you're going to run AC on your car, you're going to need this double groove pulley. Alright, so this is the pulley that gives the most trouble. It's the hardest to figure out. The power steering, this is for 69 and 70 big block cars. I'm sure it's for 71, 69 to 72, but I don't know. You're going to need a big 3/4 inch for this adjustment. Well, I'm going to take it off and then I'm going to build it for you. I mean, I'm going to put it back on. Alright. Try not to stress these brackets up too much. Just showing you this, man, because I had a hard time trying to figure this bracket out right here. Thank God I had a real 70s Super Sport I could look at and figure this out. So that's why I'm making these videos, because not everybody can see a real Super Sport. Take this damn bolt off. I've already had this off and on so many damn times. 4 pulley, but I'd rather have it like that than spend $44. And if your pulley's bent, don't be scared, man. Get a piece of board and you can straighten pulleys out. This one was bent pretty bad. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take this bracket off first. So you have to have that pulley off, in other words. Like I said, I'm just mocking this up, man. I'm trying to make sure all this shit fits on my car before you always want to do that, man. It's real hard to do that, but last thing you want to do is take vacation and say, well, I'm going to get this car running in 1 week, and then find out you have the wrong power steering pump. I mean, power steering brackets happens all the time. Alright. That's all this bracket is. It comes in a kit. It's 2 pieces. This one and this one, I think it was $70, but they came bare, so I had to sandblast them and paint them. But all there is in this one, 3/8, and then this freaking spacer right here. With I'll measure it. Alright. Now this might not be 100%, but this is what I'm sorry, that's a 3/4 inch. And then a 1 inch. And the spacer is a 1/4 inch spacer. So you could use washers, but that's it. This came off the old pump. This was on a small block car, but I overhauled it. And we rebuilt it, and there's a video where I rebuild it. So, pretty simple. Alright, now this lower one, yeah, put a piece of tape there if you can. Once you tighten it, it doesn't touch, but whenever I was figuring this shit out, god dang, man, that's why I'm making this video, man. This stuff ain't easy. This stuff is not easy to figure out. Don't let anybody tell you this is easy. They're full of shit. It's not easy. Alright. 3/4 length, 3/8 course. And then this one just slides out, just pulls out. Alright, this is the pump that I built. Another video, I'll show you how to build this thing. That's all it has on there. All I put was flat washer, 3/8 lock nut, and then a 3/8 course nut. That's all it is, man, for your power steering pump. And you're only using these 3 holes. You're not using that one. Just going over it if you don't know. Alright, so I'm going to take this off to kind of show you so you can understand it. Alright, so these brackets right here were like $70. All that is a 3/8, 3/4 inch. And then 2 7/16. Alright, these are 2 7/16, 1 inch for this bracket to the block. Okay, so that's the brackets. Alright, so 69 to 70 big block chevelle power steering brackets is what they look like. In case you see them in the internet, you'll see this set. That's what they are. They're around 70 bucks. But these, when I bought them, they came bare, so I had to freaking sandblast them, prime them, and paint them satin black. And I like them. Alright, now we're going to go over the big pulley in the bottom. This is pretty simple. Pretty sure that all the big block pulleys, even for the trucks, are the same for the bottom. And the 70 Chevelle big block had this pulley on it. Okay. So now I'm going to go over in depth. I'm going to put everything back on for you in case you're building one of these cars and you're having trouble. You can comment me, ask me anything, man. I'll come out here and measure it on my car. I don't care. Just trying to make these videos to help people out, man. That's all I make these videos. Alright, so this is a 3-groove pulley, big block. It's going to have a big giant hole in the middle, about 8-inch diameter, 3 grooves. And this is the pulley that I don't know what number that is, but 69 to 70 big block cars will have this pulley if you go buy it. I don't know how much it is, probably a lot. All I'm putting it on with is 3/4 inch 3/8, 3 of them with lock washers. That's all I'm using. I don't know if that's correct, but that's all I'm using. Always mock all your shit up before you get to start putting your car together. Alright, so that pulley's on there pretty good, pretty snug. So I'm gonna go back and torque all these with the torque wrench later. The lower power steering bracket that I showed you earlier. It's gonna bolt on with 2 bolts right there on the block, and then you can barely see it, but that's the block. See, it's on the block right under the head. We got the 3/8, 3/4 inch with a lock nut. A lock washer, 3/8, coarse, 3/4 inch long. Remember that thing I showed you on this block? So get that started. Another thing is, I'm not going to be able to show you, but this is going to be very freaking close to this bolt. It's not going to touch it, but they do have chevelles that have a shorter bolt. This is a real tall bolt for this. Be aware of that. It's going to be real close, but it's not going to hit. 7/16 coarse thread. Always thread them with it by hand before you tighten anything. Move in place. I'm going to do the old-fashioned torque wrench without a torque wrench. Run this out. Alright, now this one is going to go on this. There's no spacer here. Three-eighths, 3/4 inch long, 3/8 lock washer. Right here. Okay. Now you're not going to tighten these until you make your adjustments. I'm going to leave these loose for now. This bracket goes on there like this. And then your long water pump is going to have this. This is a 1/2 inch coarse thread. So you're going to have to get you a 1/2 inch. I'm just using looks like an inch, 1/2 inch coarse thread with just the machine flat washer. Got the spacer, the 1/4 inch spacer. Goes on this one. One-inch bolt where you're going to put the spacer. 3/8 lock nuts, all I'm using. Three-quarter inch, 3/8. Some people, man, they want to know stuff like that. Get it loose. Get it started in there, all by loose. Tighten these down right now because the pulley's going to go in front of them. Go ahead and put it back on. This is the kind with the key or whatever. It's got this. I'm not going to tighten it right now, but and when you're buying your belts, you just literally go in there to O'Reilly and look up 70 big block car, and the 3 belts it shows are the 3 belts you buy. God dang it. It goes on the second groove, the middle groove on this crank pulley, and then on the outside groove up here. Well, we're just going to make a rough adjustment. We're going to tighten this. Alright, now we're going to do the alternator bracket. Alright, so this is the internally regulated 1979 305 Monte Carlo, very common alternator. This spacer thing right here, in case you don't have it, they're all these are the same. It's a 3 1/8. This actually came with the alternator. It's a looks like 1 5/16 spacer bolted right there. We're going to tighten it up later because we need this to move. Alright, now the lower bracket, like I said, you can get this at Pep Boys for 15 bucks. I think it's about 15 bucks anywhere, but it's just a big block 70 lower alternator bracket. They're all the same. All I'm using is 2 1-inch 3/8 lock nuts, 2 of them. It's going to go on the long water pump right here. 2 bolts, in case you don't know. Real simple. Now leave them loose until you get everything in here. Alright, the long bolt with the 3/8 lock washer is 6 inches for this right here. Make sure it threads in there, lines up. Okay, get it ready. Now this upper bracket can cost you up to $44 each, and the set is like 78 bucks. 78 or 80 if you need that long bolt and that spacer, that 3 1/8 spacer. So be aware of that. This is going to bolt onto the long water pump. All I'm using is a 1-inch 3/8 coarse thread, and then it's going to bolt into the top of the intake. And this is an aftermarket air gap, and it fits the air gap fine. Head intake bolt. Right. Now get ready to put the alternator on. Leave that loose so you can wiggle this to get it started in the block in the head. You don't want to screw that freaking bolt hole up. Now for the top, it's a 1-inch. I'm using 5/16 1-inch coarse thread with a flat washer, so for the adjustment in a 5/16 lock washer. So all you do is just put this pulley on, line the holes up. That's why they put the studs, because it makes it easier to line it up. This is just a new fan clutch from O'Reilly. It's going to have that breast. Make sure you put this on there if you need it. Make sure the holes are lined up. Anyway, I'm just putting these 4 or 5/16 back in there. And this kind of stuff, you want to tighten it all the way down because you want to make sure your pulleys aligned, your belt's aligned. Alright. Always make sure your fan is not bent up or anything crazy. Got this belt for the alternator. It's going to go around the outside pulley. Then you go back and tighten all your other bolts. I'm just mocking this stuff up, just showing you, giving you a rough idea. So basically we got everything wrapped up, we got the belts. Always take a look down at the belts, make sure that they are straight. This one is straight. Now we got that alternator completely in there the way it's supposed to be for a 70. And the bolts of the block right there. It's hard to see the bracket, that's why I made this video to show you a depth. Pretty straight. It's okay. Oh yeah, there's that gap right there. See? It's not touching, but be aware of that. Alright, thank you.